Hello my fellow hunters, in this video I want to talk about a few things on the new video. I didn't expect it. Switch Axe was the first weapon where they introduced the new Silkbind moves or switch skills. I didn't want to mention everything. If you want to see every explanation or so, you can maybe watch RX Gaming. But for me personally, I'm more interested in game-changing stuff or stuff that's maybe interesting for speedrunning, comfi, other stuff. And I want to talk about two things. The new move, it's like a switch skill that connects CSD with a dive bomb into a compressed finishing discharge, which is pretty cool. But currently I'm not sure how clunky or how smooth this move is and how is the effect to your sword meter or your amp gauge. So it has, I'm sure it has no effect to the amp gauge, but maybe to the sword meter. Maybe it's empty after this move. In this case it's a little bit clunky, but we will see how much it will consumed in the demo or in the real game. So first of all I show you the move. He's starting to do a CSD, sticking on the ledge zone. That Lumini explained that to me. First of all, I already said sticking to the monster, but the correct name is ledging to the monster because there are like different ledge zones. For example, Gossarak has a head as ledge zone. Then do the dive bomb with the delay of the advanced Phial burst. More of attack, then you can do your switch skill swap, and immediately after that, in your new switch skill loadout, you can do the compressed SSD because it's at the same slot as your dive bomb, the compressed finishing discharge. Yes, and in this case, he didn't have to reload or anything, so it seems that the sword meter is still enough. And then he does the compressed finishing discharge. So maybe the thing is, in the video this looks cool, but I didn't know how good the damage output is, because in a previous video I made a comparison, aerial versus crowded playstyle. And yes, maybe in the video the most animations look sick and dope and what the hell is going on. But currently we are not sure how good is the damage output. So you can see I previously made, that's some months ago, maybe for a half a year, I made a damage calculation with grounded and aerial playstyle. So grounded is CFD with own visible gambit, and aerial playstyle is element discharge with finishing discharge, so in Wyvern dive bomb. Yes, and here you can see the damage output. If you only do a limited discharge, about 80 DPS, and if you doing a dive bomb additional, you're doing about 115 DPS, yes, based on a 190 raw 40 element white sharpness through its switch axe. And with a compressed finishing discharge, you're only doing about 50 or 60 DPS depending on the file type you can see here. So soaring dive bomb with a CSD is more than the double DPS as a compressed finishing discharge. So I am not really sure how this playstyle makes sense. CSD with additional Phial burst and then switching into the compressed finishing discharge maybe looks cool, but maybe I just hope they buff the CFD. The thing is, you can see maybe here we have the explosion with a fixed 52 motion value, and the elemental modifier is only 1.5, and the slash is 80, but no fixed. And I just hope maybe they make both motion values fixed, or they just buff the motion values and double it. So maybe a 160 motion value with a 104 motion value, and so that has the same DPS and makes sense to play. But currently the motion values are just too low. Like you can see on the finisher we have a fixed 90 motion value, and that's just a lot better than the fixed 52 motion value. Okay, so maybe that looks really cool, but I didn't know whether that makes sense. And now the thing I'm most hyped with and this will maybe completely change the meta. It is the elemental burst counter. Maybe you have already seen it. Switch X is getting a counter. We currently already have a counter. You can maybe see on my Diablos video. It is the Invisible Gambit. So to be honest, it is the second counter. But this counter gives you more back, or you gain more buffs. Let's gonna see how this works. I didn't know whether it's exactly started. Just want to mention the Azelos is the new Almudron Switch X gear. So in base game we got all the best Switch X gear from Almudron and Intruder Totus, and in Sunbreak it's obviously maybe from Macro Almudron, I'm not sure, and from Astalos we are getting the best Switch X specific gear. So the Magma Almudron is starting an attack, and maybe 1 or second before it attacks you're starting the attack or the burst counter, or maybe at this exactly time when a monster is hitting you doing the burst counter. That looks like a Amp Flurry, but just with additional explosion. Looks very similar to an Amp Flurry move. Then he's doing a ZST, which is really cool. One of the best combos you can do. And yes, he didn't have done a space. And now to the most important thing. You can still have your switch charger active, and you maybe also use it for switch skill swapping. Okay, that is another move I didn't want to really talk about for the X White Sweep. I think it makes the sword attack stronger, and for the X attacks you gain more of your charge bar, or how it's exactly called. Morphs into sword mode and morphs back into X mode, so that benefits of the rapid morph skill. Really cool they connected it together, so you can do also additional damage. Doing this combo, the power of sword mode attacks increase, and X mode attacks fills the switch gouge faster. So this is really cool. This is not the amp gouge, this is the switch gouge, so the sword meter in the middle, that you can easily start to say steal or other things. And now to the most interesting thing, the elemental burst counter. Compresses switch gouge energy that can be released as an elemental burst. Sorry, I mixed up the switch gouge with the sword meter. Yes, with this combo you also fill up your switch gouge faster to get easier amped. And yes, the sword meter was to doing more sword attacks or stay in sword mode. If the burst is released right as monster attacks, so it's a counter, you will perform a power finisher, and I'm pretty sure that power finisher also have a fixed damage number or a fixed motion value. That means yes, currently in Rise Switch X has raw skill meta, so doesn't requires a lot of critical skills except weakness exploit, more like attack boost and agitator, because of the fixed damage numbers. And you can see with this counter we get a power finisher, and all finishers have fixed damage numbers, so you can see maybe the meta doesn't change. Still attack boost and agitator is even more important than any crit skills. And your switch gouge will go into end state. The thing is, it says your switch X will go into end state, so that means it isn't a rule whether you have exhaust, a power Phial or whatever, you're in the end state, and this is completely busted. So currently, for everyone didn't know, the switch X is for speedrunning the second strongest or maybe third strongest weapon in the game currently. So you can see example for Rathian. Let's go to Blade Master weapons. I didn't filter it currently, but you can see it's after the longsword and then greatsword. So second most powerful weapon currently. In some cases the greatsword is better, but most times It's the second or third strongest melee weapon. And yes, it says you immediately after that go into the end state, and that will completely change the meta. Reason is the problem was in base game the only good switch axe was the Kushadaura switch axe with a power Phial, because it has natural white sharpness, huge amount of affinity and other stuff, so you didn't need any handicraft or additional skills. And all the other meta weapons were elemental Phial's weapons. I can see Almudron SA, Diablos SA, Narva SA, Anjanath SA, Crimson Wildstrux SA, all switch axes were better because, yeah, they just charges faster, so mathematically the power Phials were stronger, like the Rathalos SA or the Misutsune SA, but the thing was they need an extremely long time to amp up. And so that was the reason why in Base Rise we got the elemental Phial meta, or also in a lot of cases the KO Phial meta for Zinogre and other monsters. And I think that will break the meta, and now the power Phials are the meta weapon again, and I'm pretty sure that is the case. Because yes, it doesn't take a roll, and that also makes the calculation, you can see here, let's give me a second, makes the calculation a lot easier. So you can see here, for example with a power prolonger level 1, in the elemental Phial we have a multiplier AUT from 0.6, and with a power Phial we only have 0.4. So you can see elemental Phials has still better uptime, and in Sunbreak maybe, if you can use the counter for charging your switch axe, power Phials are better again. So it's gonna be very interesting, and that will make the switch axe even more stronger. And I didn't expect it we get such a great move in this game. Yes, that's the move I'm most hyped for. Just hope they buff the compressed finishing discharge, because currently it's extremely weak and was never used in any speedrun, because it hasn't the fixed damage numbers like we have from the dive bomb, from the CSD, from the fire burst, or now from the new move, which also has now fixed damage. And yes, just hope they buff it, or otherwise, yes, pretty hyped that now power Phial's back again. Just hope Malzenos, which also has a power Phial, or maybe we get Namiel back, which also has a power Phial. Yeah, pretty interested. Tell me in the comments down below what you're most interested for, and yeah, see you next time. Thanks for watching.